All right, you radio hoarders, listen up. This is a Lafayette HE-10. Now, this also came as a kit 200 that you could put together. I think it was 1960, something like that. This radio looks like a Hallicrafters S38, but it's way different. This here, I always tell you the best radios, when you open it up and look inside, first of all, the construction of this case, you realize it was like $69, but the construction of this case is really good. The S meter, you know, they didn't throw a really big cheap one on there. They have like a custom one on there. Now this is made in Japan, and as soon as you look into this thing, you'll notice this 3-section capacitor. All right, and then if you look around, you'll see 3 IF cans. So right there, oh, and a power transformer over here. So the S38 Hallicrafters is basically an AA5 radio. It went on to become the S120, which is a piece of crap too. That's why I don't like Hallicrafters. What they did was they got their name established, and they started unloading crap on unsuspecting people. And this radio here, it's not super rare, but it was made in Japan for the American market, for the Lafayette, which was a radio store similar to Radio Shack. And it has a 1.5, a 1.65 or 1.5 microvolt front end sensitivity. Now, when something receives 1 microvolt, that means a little as 1 microvolt of signal coming in on the aerial will give you a full volume at the output of the speaker. It isn't if you have 15, it's better. No. So the Collins radio, what was the Collins 51J? Its AM broadcast band is 15 microvolts. So 15 microvolts of signal have to hit the antenna before you can hear it coming out of the speaker. That's really bad. That's why that radio is so overpriced and ridiculous and hyped, and it's garbage. Now this radio, I bought it. It was a ham guy's radio. He took special pictures of it so you wouldn't see the fact that he chopped out the back of this radio in order to change the speaker terminals, and he screwed it all up. I ended up having to trim it all up, make a plate, and putting the original strip, the terminal strip, back there. That's what, when I bought this radio, and it was all full of bugs. It looked like some type of gnats. But I had to take this whole radio apart, put it back together, and it works really well. It works better than most American radios at the time. And one of the things they did was, there's a separate oscillator tube and mixer. A lot of radios around 1960, they used a single tube mixer oscillator. When you separate the two tubes, the signal can't pull the oscillator at all. It just makes a better radio, better sensitivity, the whole thing. But that station I just had playing, that's Sweet 16. This dial goes up to 1600. If you go down to 740, which is that low power AM broadcast station in Pennsylvania, it picks that up and you can actually listen to it. That's because it's got a 1.65 or 1.56. I'm dyslexic with numbers. I have a hard time remembering them. But in other words, this is something really unique. And this radio is very heavy. It's also very small. It's very easy to work on. Most of the capacitors are disc capacitors underneath. So when you have to recap it, you only have to do a couple of electrolytics, a few electrolytics. But it's not American made. So if you're collecting radios and you just want the old Hallicrafters, Hammerland, Drake, there's a whole bunch of radios out there you might get into. And I told you, Hallicrafters, you got to really watch. And one guy, he asked me, why are you always ragging on them? Well, basically, they pulled some quick ones. And people aren't that smart. You know, they don't know that an S, was that, say, a 62? It's a hot chassis radio. It's basically a kitchen radio with different set of coils. And the better radios have a power transformer They have a choke on the power supply. It's just, they give you so much more for the same amount of money. So what Hallicrafters could do after a while, they could just put out anything with almost nothing in it, and people would buy it. And they put their radios were in department stores. You could get an S120 in a two-guy store. And that. Now you look back, boy, that was a real red flag. But anyway, I just wanted to show you this radio, and this is considered a collectible. Now, so if looking at it from the front, it's in mint condition. But if you see the back, the way they got it hacked at, and had to make a plate. See, he broke one of the screws, and instead of digging up a terminal, he decided to just put a different type terminal in there. Well, the chassis of this radio is really thick. And he tried cutting it, and he couldn't get it to go straight. And then he botched, he put a terminal on there, and it turned out to be like one of those Chinese-made terminals that if you over-tighten them, they break off in your hand. That's what he replaced a Bakelite terminal. Now, also this radio, it puts out 4 ohm and 8 ohm. It doesn't put out high voltage speaker, you need a transformer to the speaker. I put this on originally, and I was like, well, that's kind of muddy sounding. So I got the manual out real quick, and I realized that he wanted to go directly to the 8 ohm speaker. But sound-wise, if you're trying to listen to AM on this music, it's not that good. It's very narrow, and it doesn't have any bass. But the sensitivity of this radio is incredible on the AM broadcast band. And if you read up on it, you'll see people say it's better than the Hallicrafters S38. 62. I'm messing up already. Anyway, and they're saying, well, they look similar, but they're not the same radio. And that's what I wanted to tell you. There's other people that did reviews of this radio, but I just want to tell you, it's got the 3-section capacitor for tuning. RF amp. It's got an RF amp in here. The Hallicrafters doesn't have that. Neither does the S120. What they do is they have a tune circuit that goes right into the mixer. And there's no separate oscillator. It's all one tube. Cheap. Anyway, so this has also 3 IF cans. I told you, power transformer. It's got everything that a larger boat anchor would have, and it's built in a smaller package. All right, that's it. I think that's it. All right, that's it.